Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn, pretty tight this season, but Brady with a better record as of right now. What is that, about a 3.5 game lead there for Brady after a 7-7 week last week?
How about those best bets?
I'm good with my best bet.
Better with the best bets, that's for damn sure. Let's pick this one. Niners and Seahawks. San Francisco favored by 3.5 in Seattle. And the question is that magic carpet ride for Brock Purdy going to continue?
I think it's going to, but I don't know that it necessarily has to do anything with his play. He's played well, though, and the one start in spot work. To me, it's just a bad matchup for Seattle. If you look at the fact they struggle to protect Geno, this is the best defense in the NFL, and they have arguably maybe the defensive player of the year in Nick Bosa. And so that's going to be an issue for you. And on top of it, the Seattle Seahawks can't stop the run, and the San Francisco 49ers can run the football as good as anyone. So to me, it's a bad matchup. I know the short week, typically Pete favors the home team. But this is one where like 3 and a hook. I'll lay it here with San Francisco. They're playing some really good football.
I agree. I mean, when you look at the way Brock Purdy played last week, they make it, we talked about that, they make it easy on him.
They do.
It's not a hard position to play in that offense because they have so many weapons, and the coach, Kyle Shanahan, is outstanding at what he does.
Are we not going to give Purdy any credit?
Oh, yeah, he played well. He's got a little swagger about him, a little confidence about him. Brady's rolling his eyes. He's played well.
Okay, look, here's the deal. Do we want him to throw 30, 35 times a game?
That's what we don't know.
Exactly. We haven't seen it. We don't know that.
We don't know if he's down 10 in the fourth quarter. Can he bring a team back?
Well, of course, and we'll find out. If that presents itself. But the thing is, we saw him play a lot of football at Iowa State. Okay, we've got an idea of what he's capable of. Until he's presented with that situation, we don't really know. But I don't think Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers want to see him do that either. So my whole thing is like, let's just pump the brakes. All right.
What are we pumping the brakes on? Is anybody saying he's a Pro Bowl quarterback? Or?
We did have a former 49er great say they think they can win a Super Bowl with him.
I think they can win a Super Bowl with him.
Whoa.
I think they can win a Super Bowl with him. Sure they can.
You need to see something from him before you want to make that proclamation in my mind.
I think the team is that good that they can win a Super Bowl.
And that might be the case. Here's the problem is, when's the last team you saw, like the Tampa Bay Bucks, like the Baltimore Ravens, that won with their defense and a rushing attack?
Yeah, it's been a while. I get it.
Those are the only two teams
20 years ago?
Yeah.
But he can throw it well enough. In that system, you can throw it well enough. But we'll get a better idea when he goes on the road. He hasn't been on the road yet either.
2-8?
He's on the road.
2-8?
Not that guy.
Okay.
No, but they'll win this
know.
week. That defense is that good. And I did not like what I saw from Geno Smith last week. That was not a good performance for him. So I'll take the 49ers.
Well, he was pressing a little bit.
He did.
And let's not forget, DJ Dallas didn't play, Kenneth Walker didn't play. The running backs were banged up. He did have more pressure on his shoulders. It looks like Walker may have a better chance of playing, even though DJ Dallas hasn't practiced so far this week.
Huge game for Seattle. If they win it, they're more than likely going to be in the playoff spot with 3 weeks to go, with those two teams in those last playoff spots playing each other.
I'm just glad we got a Thursday game that means something.
Right. Monday game this week, maybe not so much, but we'll get to that when we get there. So the guys both like the 49ers to cover it against the Seahawks this week. Coming up next, is Tua going to bounce back, or is Pete burying him again?
What?
Well, we'll see. Dolphins taking on the Bills. Oh, it's a fun weekend because we have 3 games on Saturday. All of them are on NFL Network. Maybe the best one, Dolphins at Bills. At least that's the best matchup on paper, I think, with two teams right now in playoff position. Dolphins 8-5, need to turn things around with Tua, and the Bills hoping to get that #1 seed. Going to start with the Colts and Vikings, though, with Brady Quinn and Pete Prisco. The Vikings favored by 4 at home. They're 9-0 in one-possession games, but coming off a loss.
And the Colts, though, are coming off a bye. A little extra time to rest up. This line looked fishy to me. Even though the Vikings are coming off the loss, I still feel like they're a much better football team at home. I thought this number would be closer to 5, maybe 5.5, especially when you look at the differences between the two teams. It doesn't seem like the Colts can protect Matt Ryan. And look, the Vikings are giving up a lot of plays in the passing game, a lot of yards in the passing game, but they're still playing good red zone defense when they get down there. And I just think when you look at the Colts, their ability to stop the run, this is a real opportunity for Dalvin Cook, Alexander Mattison to really get going and take over this football game. So I'm going to lay the 4 points. I don't feel great about it. Something just seems off about that number.
Does anybody believe in the Vikings? I mean, other than anybody outside the building and outside of Minnesota, does anybody believe
that they're a legit Super Bowl contender?
You asked that because of last week's game?
No, I ask it because their point differentials are negative.
They don't blow anybody out.
They don't blow anybody out. They play a lot of close games, and their defense is awful. I mean, it's bad. They give up, you mentioned it, they give up a ton of pass plays. But the Colts can't pass the football. They're not a team that can throw the ball down the field. So if you stop Jonathan Taylor, you're going to beat them. They're not great against the run either, but they will slow him enough. I do think this game might get a little loose, though, and I'm going to take the Vikings in that scenario because I think Kirk Cousins right now can throw the ball and play well, and it's not a big game. It's not prime time. They're 10-3. It's
not on Sunday, though. It's not his normal circadian rhythm.
No, he'll be fine.
With the game.
So I think the Vikings win and they cover, and they probably win by about 10 points.
But it's the only game that'll be going on at that time. Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's it.
It's not a big game. Most people won't even know that game's on until then to start focusing in on the afternoon game.
How dare you? You don't talk to the NFL fan base like that. They'll know the game's on.
Yeah, we're in fantasy playoffs. Come on, Pete.
Yeah.
Saturday at 4:30 Eastern time. It's the 9-4 Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. The Ravens, kind of like the Vikings, when they win, they just kind of squeeze by, and certainly they're trying to bide their time until Lamar comes back.
I was going to say, do we know who's playing quarterback for the Ravens at this point? Is it Tyler Huntley? Is it Anthony Brown?
I think it'll be Huntley. He practiced and looks like he might be the guy. So I would lean that way.
I mean, either way, I think I'm still going to lay the 2.5 here in Cleveland. Their offense has been atrocious, though, since Deshaun Watson's been back. What, 1 touchdown in 8 quarters? And how about this, by the way? The 4th and 1 last week. 4th and 1. And I know they took out Deshaun Watson the week before. And they put in Jacoby Brissett to try to, this quarterback sneak or whatever. But a play-action pass? I mean, you paid Deshaun Watson $230 million fully guaranteed. Do you not want that guy in there for a 4th and 1 play?
You know what I always say when I see those plays? Just play football. Just play football. I agree
in all
with
seriousness,
ya.
what are they
doing?
Where's Watson going? Why is he going off there? It's 4th and 1. And by the way, isn't he a better run threat than Jacoby Brissett?
Maybe Jacoby Brissett's a better passer than Deshaun Watson.
I mean, he airmailed that one to Donovan Peoples-Jones, I believe, in the corner of the end zone. So that didn't matter.
Here's so you picked the Browns.
I'm laying the 2.5 here, even though the Ravens' defense has kept them in games, and I do think it's going to be a big-time challenge for an offense that struggled. I still, with not knowing whether it's Huntley or Anthony Brown, even if it is Huntley, I still give the edge to Cleveland in this one, so I'll lay the 2.5.
I'm with you. I think the Browns will be able to move the football on them, and the Ravens have played good defense. But if Kenny Pickett doesn't go out of that game last week, the Steelers win that game. Trubisky threw it right to him 3 times inside the red zone. You can't do that and win football games. I think Watson showed a little bit better last week. A little bit better. Not a lot, but a little bit better. And maybe now he'll start getting more of the rust off and play better in this one. I'm going to take the Browns. I think they win this game. I think they run the football.
You think he's massaged out all the rust? Is that what you're saying?
Wow.
I'm just asking.
I didn't expect that from Brady.
No, I didn't either.
I'm just asking.
Maybe he has. The rust is gone.
Woo,
8:15 Eastern time on Saturday night. It's the Dolphins at the Bills, and the weather's going to be a key factor in this one. It'll likely be the first game in freezing temperatures the Dolphins will have played in about 5 years, and it might be snowing as well.
Did you know the Dolphins brought out heaters for their game in L.A.?
Yeah.
That is not a good sign for a group that is going to have to go in freezing, frigid temperatures in Buffalo, which, by the way, it's usually pretty windy there, too, in that stadium. This just sets up to be a disastrous 3-game stretch for the Dolphins. They have to go back to back to back on the road now. And, Pete, I don't know how you kind of feel watching it. It feels like everyone's got the game plan defensively to slow down the passing attack. Softer zone coverage, getting the linebackers and those kind of second-level defenders deeper in their coverage to take away the intermediate routes. And it's really frustrated Tua. It's frustrated Tyreek Hill. And it's just kind of stymied their offensive production. So I look at it and say it's a big number for a divisional game, but I'll lay the 7.5 points. Right now, the Dolphins do not look like they got something wrong. Something's not right.
In breaking routes, they run a ton of them.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's playing inside with the leverage.
Inside leverage.
They got this, like you mentioned, the linebackers are dropping deeper. Those in routes aren't there. And so what do you have to do? You have to adjust. This is an enormous week for Mike McDaniel. An enormous week. Everything was fun early in the season. Hey, you're winning. He's different. He's happy. Look, he's so much different than every other ogre in this league. And they're winning. Well, now there's a challenge for Mike McDaniel. Turn it around. Because if you don't turn it around, you're staring at the potential of not making the postseason. How about that? Think about their schedule. It's tough. They have the Patriots, they have the Jets, and they have the Packers left after this game. There's a chance the Miami Dolphins could go from this high-flying offense to not making the postseason. Mike McDaniel, you're on alert. Tua, you're on alert. And it's big for both of them this week. Having said all that, Buffalo's going to win the game. They should have beat them the first time. They dominated that game, went up and down the field, didn't score in the red zone.
They did win, but yeah.
And they will beat them this time.
Okay. The one addition, too, for the Bills, probably a key addition, but I don't know if anyone's going to acknowledge, is Cole Beasley. Like, I feel like they've been kind of missing something in the passing game. When
McKenzie's hands have been terrible.
His hands have been bad, but also when they've taken away Diggs, it's like on third down. I mean, Allen's running around looking for someone. That used to be Cole Beasley, and Dawson Knox has kind of played that role. And obviously there's Gabe Davis, but I think now Cole Beasley helps kind of bring it all together where you have so much you have to deal with and worry about. And now having that simple completion to a guy that can get open, he knows where the sticks are, he knows how to move the chains. That to me is going to be a bigger addition than people realize for the Bills as they go on in the playoffs.
Is Miami in trouble?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, look, I think this is about, NFL always has been a game of adjustments. And it also goes week to week. It's not just in game and how you make them through the first half and the second half. And this is a point now where I think you do have to look at Mike McDaniel and his staff and Tua Tagovailoa and say, what's your second act? What can you go to help eliminate some of what we've seen the past couple of weeks? And granted, playing good football teams, but still, if they're considered one of those good football teams, they've got to figure out what that counter is to what everyone's doing right now as far as inside leverage, soft zone coverage, getting a lot more depth, keeping everything in front of them. Because they have not been able to dink and dunk their way or run the football to their way to be.
They didn't run at all. They didn't even run the ball. That's what they need to do. That offense is predicated on running the football. You have to be able to run the football. That's something they have to do this week against Buffalo.
And right now, only a one-game cushion in that playoff race. The Dolphins would be in as of right now, but a bunch of teams at 7-6 chasing them. Total agreement here: Vikings -4, Browns 2.5, -2.5.
We're in trouble.
Bills -7.5 here from Pete and Brady. Picking every NFL game against the spread this week. These are the 3 early games on CBS. Panthers a slight favorite at home against the Steelers. Look out, Panthers are still in the divisional race. In fact, they control their own fate. If they win out, they'll win the division because they play the Bucs in a few weeks. Jets-Lions, pick 'em. That's a big game in both conference wildcard races, and the Chiefs heavy favorites. Cowboys at Jags. Eagles catching nearly double figures in Chicago, and the Saints favored by 4 at home against the Falcons. Let's start with the Cowboys and the Jags. And Pete says, look out, because of the way the Titans are playing, Jacksonville's got a shot.
And the way the Titans' schedule is playing out. I mean, look at their schedule. They play at the Chargers this week. They play the Cowboys the following week, and then they're going to Jacksonville. Then they have the Texans, but then they go to Jacksonville in the final week of the season. So if things play out, Jacksonville plays Dallas this week. They have the Jets on a short week, which is not going to be easy, the Texans and then the Titans. So if they went 3-1 and beat the Titans, then they would probably win the division. So it's not out of the possibility. They're alive and kicking. And Trevor Lawrence was outstanding last week. Anybody, and there were plenty in Jacksonville, because I heard it, that thought that he might not be the right guy for the quarterback position.
Nuts.
Misguided, because he is going to be a star of stars. Next year, he will be a top 10 quarterback in this league. He's going to be special. Having said all that,
I was waiting for the butt.
No,
waiting for the butt.
Having said all that, the Cowboys will win the game because their pass rush will
And cover?
Yeah, they got to cover. They're favored by 4.5 here.
and cover.
So
They're going to win the game and cover.
My concern and where I could see the tilt of this game is the pass rush. Micah Parsons going up against the Jags offensive line.
They've been good. They haven't given up a lot of sacks.
They haven't. They've been better. I think in part two, Doug Pearson and their staff's game planning around that. Trevor Lawrence has been doing a good job too, getting outside, doing more. He's playing more confident. You can see it. He's been phenomenal. And by the way, I've never doubted that young man. It's just the situation he's been. But the interesting thing is, like, I go back to last week. I look at Dallas versus Houston. I'm like, what was that? I mean, if there's any other competent team, they're probably able to score a touchdown when they're inside their own 5 or going to the end zone. But it's Houston, so take it with a grain of salt. And I thought the pass rush would be an issue for the Houston Texans, and it really wasn't in that game. And so I come into this one going, you know what? Home underdog, the way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, I'll take the 4.5 points. I'm not saying Dallas doesn't win. I think they win probably by a field goal. I think this game is closer than people realize. The Jags offense is finding its flow. ETN, too, playing a factor running the football. You talked about the improvements in the offensive line. I think the defense is playing more inspired as well.
Evan Ingram, over 150 yards receiving last week.
And so I look at this and I say, I think maybe this team's a little more closely matched than we realize. So I'll go ahead and take the 4.5 points to the Jags. You think T.Y. Hilton will play any factor in this one?
It gets loose, though. This game will get loose.
Yeah.
It's going to be points.
Is that because it's in Jacksonville and you know Jacksonville well?
Because I think Jacksonville's defense is bad.
I mean, they got a mascot walking around in a Speedo.
I think Jacksonville's defense is bad right now. And I think Dallas will be able to move the football. I think Trevor Lawrence will be able to move the football. So it'll get a little bit
loose.
I like that.
All that talk about Jacksonville having a chance here in the division, and you won't even pick them to cover 4.5.
It's unbelievable.
No.
It used to come
I'm
to
just
mayor.
saying, I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm just saying they have a chance to.
They used to call him the mayor of Jacksonville.
They do. I am the mayor.
Yeah.
I don't know about that after this.
Not anymore. Let's move on to Chicago. The Bears are at home against the Eagles, who are closing in on that number 1 seed in that bye in the NFC. As long as they don't fall apart, they're going to get it, and they're giving 9 on the road.
I don't know what I'm thinking here.
You're going to take the Bears?
I mean, Fields should be back for this one. They're coming off the bye. Claypool should be back. They'll be back at full strength. An extra week to prepare. The Eagles have looked so good. I'm just like, one of these weeks, they're going to have that kind of stumble or
They're waiting for them to have a game like the Cowboys had last week.
Yeah, and I think this might be that, because this happens at this point in time in the season. Look, I started quarterback for some bad teams where we beat teams late in the season, and you were like, what the hell happened there? Maybe even we thought that sometimes too, but the reality is, I'm not saying Chicago wins. I think they can keep it close. Look, it's in Chicago. The weather this time of year could play a factor, the wind, etc. So 9 points just looks like a lot to me. I know that Bears defense has been decimated between the guys they've given away and the injuries. I think the extra week of prep and recovery helps. So I'm going to take the 9 points. Eagles still win this game.
You make a lot of good points. And another good point is they're coming off a division game against the Giants. You put a lot into that. And now you're back out on the road again, which is always tough to do.
So what was that?
Back-to-back roadies.
Uh-oh.
But the offense can't be stopped. There's no way the Bears are stopping that offense. They're going to go up and down the field on them. They will score 35 again. Okay. I think they're going to just keep going. I don't see the Bears keeping up. I think this is a bad matchup for their offensive line because the Eagles can rush the passer. If they get behind, that's going to be a problem. Fields can scramble. I'll give you that. He can move. But I think this is going to be a problem. There's going to be some turnovers. I'm going to take the Eagles. I think they blow them out.
Blow them out?
Blow them out. Wow. We're on the other side. That's good. At least we differ on some of these games.
We're mixing it up a little.
Yes.
If they do score 35, as Pete said, that would be 4 straight games.
He made a big proclamation one time about the Titans a couple weeks ago, last time I was in here with him. About Derrick Henry, and so he owns someone. He was going to go out for 100.
I didn't say he owned somebody. I said he's going to run for 160 against the Eagles, and he didn't.
Yeah,
but what I didn't realize, but by the way, they were the spinning tops of the week the following week.
Okay, that's great. You went ahead and took your frustration out because
they
you
were
lost
bad.
that.
That's the reason why he didn't run for 160.
Titans have lost 3 straight, and Pete moved them up 2 in his power rankings this week.
There you go.
A lot of teams lost around them.
They're ahead of these next couple of teams, though. The Falcons and the Saints. It's in New Orleans. The Saints are giving 4. Falcons still in the divisional race, somehow only a game out.
Yeah, well, Marcus Mariota's out. He's just
done.
left now that Desmond Ritter's taken over as a starter, which everyone's making a big deal about that. Look, it was a 2-year deal. It was really a 1-year deal. I mean, with what he's getting paid next year, if things didn't pan out, there was no way I think he was going to stay with the team. So maybe it's not a bad move. Maybe he gets released and ends up finding his way to a team like Baltimore, depending on the knee injury with Lamar. Kind of similar skill set. He could probably help them out running the football. Now he's on a potential playoff team. But I digress. Tough spot for Ritter as a rookie quarterback to go to New Orleans against that defense. For that reason alone, I'm laying the 4 points here with New Orleans. I know their offense has been atrocious at times. People have been questioning if it's going to be Dalton moving forward, but I just think it's a tough spot for Ritter to be in.
The New Orleans Saints blew the game against the Bucs the last time they played. There's no doubt about it. They should be in the division race. They should have a chance to win the division, and they blew that game, and now they probably don't. But I think defensively, you mentioned it, this is a tough matchup for Ritter. And anytime these two teams get together, it is a rivalry of sorts. Right. The fans travel, both of them. I don't know if they'll travel with these teams the way they are right now, but normally they do. I still think this is going to be a tough game for Ritter. I'm going to take the Saints because of their defense. Their offense isn't great either, but I think defensively they're going to be fine.
And you like the under, right?
I do like the under. I think it's low score.
That was one of our old plays, under.
Yeah.
Under. Signal to the receivers, go under.
You go under.
Under.
Going low on that one. Another team in the divisional race there in the NFC South is the Carolina Panthers, playing good football. They've won 3 of 4 for Steve Wilks, and they've got a much better shot to win this division than do the Saints and obviously the Falcons as well, because they have the Bucs on their schedule coming up. They already beat them, so they would have the head-to-head tiebreaker. If they win out, the Carolina Panthers win the division.
It's pretty crazy, to think about what Steve Wilks has done 4-4 since taking over as their head coach. He's done a really good job, and he's kept the players engaged and in it, and they're buying in. They're playing hard for him. The best play in this game to me is the under, because I think both defenses are going to dominate this game. I don't know if it's going to be Trubisky or Pickett. You got to be careful with a second concussion in a rookie year like this for Pickett, to me. So maybe it ends up being Trubisky. That doesn't give me much faith here in him. Either way, I'm going to lay the 2.5 points with the home team. I think eventually the momentum that Carolina's built up will prevail in this one. I like what they're doing running the football, and Darnold's been making some plays. So tight game, but I'll lay the 2.5.
It's funny, ever since he kind of jettisoned Robbie Anderson, remember, he's the one. He sent him off, and they've played much better. And it's that kind of move that'll get you the respect of the players. Steve Wilks is a good football coach.
He is.
Steve Wilks got a raw deal in Arizona. He should have never been fired in Arizona. He got a raw deal. I bet Arizona would take him back right now. At least they consider it. I mean, he's doing a better job than the other guy is. I can tell you that right now. He's better coach than Cliff Kingsbury right now.
A little early to say that, but
Well,
okay.
I'm saying it, not too early.
I think some people there would say compare the 1 year he was there with what he's doing.
Look at the disaster that he had. They drafted a quarterback who couldn't play, and they had
I don't
problems.
doubt that, but
Look, Steve Wilkes done a good job with this
Yes.
team, and I think they win this game, and I think they cover. The Steelers would have won last week if Pickett doesn't go out of the game. Trubisky's awful. If Pickett's in the game, this might be a little bit different, but I'm still going to take Carolina. I love what they're doing on defense, and they can run the ball.
Let's get to the CBS games this Sunday in the NFL. And this is a really big game for both wild card races. Pete, I noticed you got a lot of hate on where you have the Lions in your power rankings. You barely have them in the top 20. People are wondering, why do you have them so low?
that, Pete.
Why?
Yeah, why are they so low?
Because the teams ahead of them are
They're
better.
playing great. They're playing great football.
Yeah? But do you think that they're deserved to be in the top 15 in the league?
Well, you got them 18th behind the
18th.
Bucks. You got them behind the Bucks.
Yeah. If the Bucks and Lions played on a neutral field, who would you pick? Tom Brady?
Right now,
Yeah.
I think probably the Lions.
No, you
The
wouldn't.
Lions playing some good football right
They
now.
are playing good football.
Playing great football.
Do they win at the Jets this week? Yes, they do.
Oh, Pete!
Yes, they do. I think Jared Goff is having a heck of a year, and I think he's making them make a tough decision going forward. He's got 2 more years left on his deal. I think he's their guy, should be their starting quarterback. He never gets the due he deserves.
Never.
For whatever reason. I don't understand it. I think he's played great football. I do like the Lions. It's a great matchup. That offense against the Jets defense, but I still think in the end, I'm going to go with the offense. Plus, their defense is playing better, a lot better.
The defense has improved. You know, some of the young players, two-step up. Aiden Hutchinson's just had a great year the entire time. I think the Detroit Lions offensive line, too, is
Really
one that
good.
can match up with that front for the Jets. The Jets' defensive front is so physical, so tough. But you know Dan Campbell coach team has that, too. They have that grit. They have the toughness to them. So I'm with you. I'd also say this. With Jameson Williams now, who's made his impact, and he's starting to continue to emerge. Him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds, it's a pretty darn good group. And Jared Goff is distributing the football well. And one of the things I think you got to go back and look at, when Ben Johnson took over last year's play caller, go look at the stats for Jared Goff. He has been outstanding the entire time for the most part. And I think it's the relationship those two have. Ben Johnson, to me, should be a guy, along with Dan Campbell, who should be up for Coach of the Year. Ben Johnson should be a guy who's up for that next bright offensive mind head coach position.
I agree.
Too.
I agree.
I'm also going
Quarterback
with,
scales, Stafford and Goff?
I mean, right now, Goff's been playing better. Now, maybe not their career body of work,
Right.
but since the end of the season when Ben Johnson took over
agree.
as the play caller, Goff has been better. Until I would know more what's going to happen, it looks like Mike White's going to tough it out and play. He's played well for him. You got to give him a lot of credit. You know, his toughness, the way he's kind of got the down.
Brutalized him last week, and he kept going back in.
Kept going back in. Give him a lot of credit. Curious to see what he looks like this week physically out there. Now Zach Wilson's number 2. Maybe he gets another shot if White can't go, but it's too uncertain for me, so I'm going to go with the Lions as well.
Lions have won 5 of 6. They've covered in 6 straight games. The Chiefs minus 14 against the Texans. We saw the Texans cover at the biggest number of the year last week when they went to Dallas, and they quite frankly should have won the game. They blew it late.
Yeah, and this is one where I think that was it. You know, that was their Alamo. That was all they had, and it's done now. And they've got some really good young players. Jalen Petrie, too, deserves a lot of credit. That young man plays his tail off. He's a ton of fun to watch on their defense.
My guy.
Your guy. I mean, some of us were watching when he was playing college, too. At Baylor.
My guy.
But Pete's taking credit for him. This is one where it's a huge number. I'm laying the points with Kansas City. I just think they're going to outclass this offense. The 2 quarterback system's not working. Leave Davis Mills in there. I don't think Driscoll gives them anything different for Houston. So I'm laying the 14 points. Big number, but I don't have much faith in Houston doing much.
I'm laying the 14 points as well, and I hate laying big points. I said that last week when I took the Cowboys anyways like a moron. But here's the thing. The Chiefs' defense did not look good last week at all. I mean, the Broncos scored 21 points, 28 points. That tells you they didn't look good. That
didn't look good, but I also want to, at some point, give Denver some credit.
Right. But they made some big plays. They made some big plays, though, on defense. They had a lot of sacks. They got after the quarterback. They had a pick 6. But they also gave up a bunch of, they gave up yards to a bad offense. That's not going to happen here. I think that'll get them refocused. I think they win this game handily, even though it's back-to-back road games for the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs minus the points.
You guys are in agreement on so
Too
Yeah,
many.
it's not good.
This is not good.
It's not good.
No, it's
Look at
not.
all
I mean,
this.
Pete should want to agree with me since I continually just keep beating him each week.
How's your best bets doing?
That's fine. I'm beating you overall.
Only anybody pays attention to is best bets. They're all looking
Is that all they pay attention to? Is that the only thing is that Jack? Is that right? Is that the only thing we're crowning anyone for? Is best bets?
Best bets.
agree on 4 of those 6 games in the early window on Sunday. All right, up next we'll go to the late afternoon, and it's the first meeting between Joe Burrow and Tom Brady. And they're matching up in Tampa, and our guys, once again, believe it or not, are in agreement. There are 4 games in the late window on Sunday. You got a couple of games on CBS. The Titans are at the Chargers, and the Bengals are at the Bucs. Both of those games with playoff implications. And we are going to start in Tampa with Brady, Quinn, and Pete Prisco. The Bengals -3.5 at Tom Brady and company, who still hold the top spot in the NFC South.
I'll put it this way. If Brock Purdy can look as efficient as he did in his first start versus the Tampa Bay Bucs defense, I think Joe Burrow's going to have a field day then if that's the case. So I'll simply put it, I'm laying the 3.5 points. I just don't have a lot of faith right now in the connection that's going on between Tom Brady and Mike Evans. Seems like they're struggling. The offense struggles to get points. Seems like a lot of frustration for Tampa. And the Bengals look like one of the hottest teams right now in the NFL. So I'll lay the points.
This is 2 quarterbacks going past each other on the highway of greatness. One's going the opposite direction.
What are they driving on that highway?
Probably something like you do, a Tesla or something.
I'm selling that. I sell the Tesla.
But, yeah, they're going across the highway of greatness because Joe Burrow is going to be great. Tom Brady has been great. He's not playing close to being great right now. He's jumpy. He's got the eye level has come down, and he's seeing ghosts again. That's never a good thing. So the Bengals defense is playing much better.
What does jumpy look like in the pocket? I'm just trying to get a visual in my head. What does that look like?
Got any of your game tape?
I wasn't jumpy. I was taking those hits.
You know, like you start doing this and this and bobbing and feeling stuff. You're feeling
looks like
stuff.
a boxer is what you're saying.
Yeah, you're feeling things that aren't there. They're not there. You're seeing them. You're not there. So here's the bottom line. I think Bengals go in there. Burrow's got problems with his offensive line, but the Bucs, you mentioned, their defense isn't playing well. There's going to be opportunities down the field. Even with the injuries outside, because the Bengals have injuries outside, Higgins and Boyd, they're still going to put up big numbers. I'll take the Bengals minus the points.
That would be the most losses in a season ever for Tom Brady. 7. He's tied.
He's still going to win a division and get to the postseason, probably.
Might do that. Definitely favored too. Another game on CBS late window, Titans at Chargers. Titans have lost 3 straight. They're allowing 30 points per game over that streak.
Yeah, look, and they just got torn up last week, and you got a Chargers team that's finally back to full health, and you're seeing what Justin Herbert's capable of doing now too. So I think the Chargers will be able to put up a lot of points in this one. I'm a little bit surprised the numbers where it's at, although I do understand, look, the Chargers have struggled against the run. Their defense has been banged up. It's still banged up. However, since Bahoko's been playing in the middle, they've actually done a pretty good job holding up against the run. So I'll lay the 3 points. Look, the key's stopping Derrick Henry. The rest is history for the Titans.
Yeah, and the offensive line of the Titans I mentioned, they're little. They're small up front, and they have rookie tackle at right tackle and a backup at left tackle. It's a bad combination. So as bad as the Chargers have been against the run, I don't know how well they're going to run the ball. But I'm with you. If he gets going, it's a problem. I do think this gets loose a little bit. And we saw last week Justin Herbert was actually allowed to throw the ball down the field.
How about that?
It was amazing. I don't know who made the phone call to Staley and Lombardi, but he was allowed to throw the ball down the field, and look what he did. He hit big shots down the field. He'll continue to do that here. The Tennessee defense is awful right now. They have guys missing all over the place. They can't cover anybody. They don't really rush the passer that well. This is going to be a big day for Herbert. The Chargers cover the number, but it goes way over that total.
Is Joey Bosa going to be back for this one?
Maybe.
I think he's making his way into it too. It'd be a good game considering the offensive line for the Titans to come back with. That's for sure.
Chargers right now holding the last playoff spot in the AFC at 7-6, holding the tiebreaker over the Jets.
Do they
and
Chargers
Patriots.
though? Are we waiting for them to Charger? I mean, it's like you got a Charger. They always blow things and guys
Have some faith, okay? Have some faith.
I believe in the quarterback.
Bold up or whatever they say.
I'm not so sure I believe in the coach though.
Speaking of coaches who might be under fire, we got the Cardinals and the Broncos, and a total that makes you think it's a Big Ten West game. The total was 36.
Pretty low, and I still think I might have taken the under in this one. Look, it's tough to know what to expect out of Colt McCoy within this offense. Denver's defense is still playing really well. I mean, bottom line is they're playing really well, and I think it'll be a formidable challenge to go up against the Cardinals, even as talented as they are on the outside. So I'm going to lay the 3 points. I don't feel great about it. Obviously, I don't expect Russell Wilson to play. I think, I'm looking at this number thinking it's going to be Brett Rippon. But even then, came in, looked all right last week. So I think he's had spot work before. He's looked okay. So I'm going to lay the 3 points. I think both these teams are really struggling right now.
If you have backup quarterbacks, you got to always go, which is the best unit on the field? And the best unit on the field is the Denver defense.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to take the Broncos in that scenario to win the fired coaches bowl, because both guys are probably going to get fired after the season.
I mean, if you're Michael Bidwell, are you really firing Cliff Kingsbury 9 months ago or whatever it is, 8 months ago?
If you look around and nobody's buying tickets, you're losing all that revenue, you eat the money and you go move on from it. And you can't blame the injury on Kyler Murray for that either.
No, but I think the issue you fall into is, up until this point, you'd taken strides every single season. And you didn't have Hopkins for the first 6. Tough schedule. You did about as well as you were going to do at 2-4. Since then, you had Hollywood Brown's been out. The backfield was banged up. Ertz is out. The O-line's had issues. Even Murray missed time before. Now he's out for the season. People can say that, but the roster isn't a point to be able to absorb all of that. I just think if you hit the panic button now, and you'd have to get rid of Cliff, you'd have to get rid of Steve Keim. He's the one who hired him, and probably convinced Bidwell to agree to it.
Correct.
But I'm saying it's just a bad move. I think you stay the course, you give it another year before you make that decision.
And now you got a running quarterback who's coming off an ACL. That's never a good thing.
I wouldn't. He can run. I don't view him as a running quarterback. To me, I think you look at his skill set and the way he throws the football well.
He throws the ball well, but everything he throws is on the move. He's moving around, making plays.
He's not Lamar Jackson. There's the very difference between how those two play.
He's not going to run like Lamar Jackson runs, but he runs to throw. He takes the snap and goes 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
And then sometimes throws the football, sometimes he doesn't.
Right. I get it, but he still has to be able to move.
Stay the course for another year. It'd be a bad move if they jump ship.
I think I would get rid of him.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Yeah.
Hackett too.
Throwing millions away.
Huh? Yeah.
Hackett too.
They're all gone.
Well, that's
Pete would fire everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of already done anyway.
Clean house. Make Pete the GM. Everything will be fine.
Not a bad idea.
Patriots, one of those teams tied for that last wild card spot in the AFC at 7-6. There's 3 of them: Chargers, Jets, Patriots. They're at the Raiders, who blew their shot last week.
Yeah, and look, the game probably ends up going a little different had they called a few holds on Rob Havenstein down the stretch there. Most likely, the Rams aren't going to be able to have that game-winning comeback. I look at this and I just feel like there's a little unrest too offensively. It seems like everything with the Patriots offense is a struggle for them. This is one where, being that it's only a point, I'll gladly take the home underdog here. I do think that Josh McDaniels, who, let's not forget, first season he coached the Denver Broncos, part of that 6-0 start they got on, beating New England in Denver. And then some things kind of fell apart. But at that point in time, he got the best of Bill Belichick. I think he gets the best of Bill Belichick in this one too.
I don't. I'm on the Patriots here. And, they're playing back-to-back road games, but they stayed out west, so it kind of neutralizes a little bit.
Does it, though?
It does.
Only in your mind.
Yeah, it does. You don't have to go back and forth. It's not as taxing on your body. And so I think being out west, they're going to, kind of bond together, as they like to say. Yeah. Just like the Miami Dolphins bonded last week on their week trip.
How'd that go?
Not well.
Yeah.
But Belichick's a better coach. He'll get his team better prepared to play this game. And I did like what I saw from Mac Jones in the second half.
Him and Matt Patricia were getting along?
Yeah. Well, not that. I don't care about that. But throwing the ball better. I think they'll be able to move the football here. And I don't think the Raiders' defense is very good, other than the pass rush. So if you block them, you beat them. And I think they'll block them and beat them.
All right, let's recap the picks from the guys. Late afternoon window on Sunday, and they like the Bengals 3.5, Chargers -3. Pete's also on that over, so it's going to get loose. Broncos -3 as well. The only disagreement is in that Raiders-Patriots game. Next, we're going to the primetime game, Sunday and Monday. Giants and Commanders. They hold the last 2 playoff spots in the NFC. The winner is going to stay in playoff position. The loser might fall out. Let's pick the last 2 games of this week in the NFL. Giants and Commanders, a little Sunday night matchup. The Commanders given 4.5 at home. They're playing much better football than the Giants the last month or so. And the Packers, if they win out, maybe they've got a shot. They're -7 against Baker Mayfield and the Rams on Monday night. All right, let's start with the matchup between a pair of teams with the exact same record, 7-5-1. That one tie was when they played each other a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, this is a matchup that I kind of look at where both these two teams at. It seems like Washington is continuing to still kind of ascend, try to make a run. Maybe they're a part of that playoff conversation. And the Giants feel like, because of the injuries and maybe Daniel Jones too, some of that kind of wearing off of the luster within Brian Daboll's offense is wearing off too. And I don't feel like the Giants will be able to keep pace with the Commanders. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the 4.5 points here. The Commanders have been running the football well, Heineke's, for the most part, adding to that, not necessarily doing anything too detrimental. And defensively, I think the Commanders should be able to shut down that offense. And it's probably time for the Giants to start really looking at the quarterback situation moving forward.
What do they do?
Probably go to the draft.
Yeah. Bye-bye Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're not going to franchise tag him.
No, I agree. I think they're probably going to go to the draft and look for a quarterback. I think this is one of those games where the schedule maker did the Commanders a big favor. I mean, they played 2 weeks ago. The Giants had to play the Eagles. The Commanders had a bye week, and now they get them at home. Big advantage for Washington. They're going to run the ball. I think Robinson will rush for about 125 in this game, and I think they control the clock. I'll take Washington minus the point.
With those rushing predictions, you got to be careful.
I made one bad prediction.
That was really bad.
We're going to have to start adding those predictions to your slate at
And
the
I'll
start
start
of the
making
show. All right, the Monday night game is a matchup between teams that have combined to lose 17 games this season already. The Rams and Packers, but both teams coming off wins in their last game.
Yeah, look, I'll say this. Rodgers at home, it's always tough to pick against them. I mean, bottom line. And the way this offensive line has played at times this year for the Rams, I think the Packers' defensive front will be able to get after Baker Mayfield. And I tend to forget, too, I mean, it's only a second start with this offense. It looked great, short, small sample size. There were some moments where it's like, all right, he doesn't know which way he's going, handing the football off, rightfully so. There's probably going to be some of these moments, too, now in an away atmosphere. Tough place to go play in Lambeau. So I'm going to lay the 7 points.
Packers coming off a bye, and I think the Rams' defense is bad right now. I think this is going to be a Rodgers game. Going to be able to throw. This is going to be one of those games where we say this is what he was supposed to look like all year, because I think he's going to have a big day throwing it. I'll take the Packers as well.
Christian Watson and Jalen Ramsey. It'll be fun to watch.
But he doesn't really travel with the.
I know, but when he's on him,
yeah,
it'll be fun to watch.
It's a long strider, man. He can run by him.
Recapping the picks, the agreement on 13 of the 6
I don't like
games.
that. I really don't like it, particularly since I'm trying to catch them.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, that's how much you rubbed off on me.
You're copying my paper.
Commanders and Packers.
Baxter's in.
Let's get to best bets, and Brady, we're sticking right there with that Packers-Rams game.
Yeah, again, I mean, I just think it's a tough spot for Baker to be in, on the road, playing against a team that I think matches up well against them. And on the flip side, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at home, it's their offense has started to come together now too. So it's a big number. Usually, like little tighter games. I'll lay the 7 points.
Best bets is my wheelhouse right here.
Yeah, it is.
Not mine. So I'm betting on Rodgers in this case. I'm betting on Aaron
Hey,
Rodgers.
look, I agree. I like your best bet this week, and I like mine a bunch because I think Staley has listened to me. He's finally let Justin Herbert throw it down the field, and he's going to continue to do that. He's going to light the Titans up for 404. How about that? 404.
4 touchdowns?
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Did you ever ask Rick Spielman when he's on with us if he ever listened to you when he was with the Minnesota Vikings?
He probably did.
Yeah, why would he
Listen to me now, though.
Yeah. He's paid to.
He's smart. He's smart.
All right, guys, we've got 4 games to go in the regular season in the NFL. And remember, 3 games on Saturday this week. 1 on Thursday, 3 Saturday.
Saturday.
A bunch on Sunday.
Not Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
For Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn, I'm Chris Hassel. Thanks for watching.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.